getting kinda crazy right now, man. These cats really think they can take me out. But I body rappers, man. On the beats. And you know it don't stop. Hitting them with everything you got. Skills, show 'em how to rock. Don't stop.
It ain't raining men, it's Anarchy Reigns, or Max Anarchy in Japan on PS3 and 360. A game that had been more refined and released at the right time, I say could have been up there with the biggest online multiplayer games in popularity. But as is, it's the next great party fighter that Sega abandoned. Why? We'll get into that. So how would I describe the game's appeal? Well, remember Power Stone? No. Wait, hang on. You like Smash Brothers? Well, imagine if you could move in 3D space. That's Power Stone on Dreamcast. Anarchy is like that, but with even more fighters. How many? 4, 8, 10? Nah, 16 fighters in one map. Developer Platinum Games set out to create a new genre, a multiplayer online brawler. You got deathmatch, capture the flag, death ball, horde mode, everything. But it's not just 16 fighters, as sometimes minions and giant mutants attack. So you rack up points by taking them down, and then jets carpet bomb the map. That's right after a rampaging truck crashes through the streets. A black hole opens up, sucking everyone into a singularity. And sometimes, just sometimes, you're fighting in a lava factory and you fall into the lava. Do you die in the lava? Nah, you just keep fighting. You fight. Who needs skin? That's for naked people. Just keep beating everyone up. And then cars with flamethrowers burn the place up. So you punch the cars. Punch the cars, for God's sakes. Giant squids, toxic gas, submarines, bayonetta, sexual humiliation. This truly is Anarchy. It's the video game equivalent of one of those long-ass super jail tracking shots or the Kingsman church scene. Do you see why this is among my favorite games ever? It's not something you can find anywhere else, though its fighters may seem familiar. You'll recognize the lead anti-hero Jack Kamen, a chainsaw-armed bounty hunter who first appeared in Mad World on the Wii.
Let's go. Yeah, heat that beat, spit that fire, kill that beat, pour that smoke and breathe that heat, DJ gon' put that on repeat. Grind time, I hurt that street. This is work, it ain't no sleep. Push until your body weak. If you don't win it, you don't.
It was developer Platinum Games' debut title, a unique ultra-violent beat-em-up where you're dropped into an arena to score points by killing in stylish ways with motion controls. Example, you get bonus points by restraining enemies with objects like tires or lampshades. You combo those points by jamming a signpost into their heads, then finish them off by shoving them into a stage hazard.
It's got a hook in that guy deeper than the one my ex has in my balls.
Many reviewers compared the arena combo structure to a skateboarding game except with killing.
Oh, so it's a little safer than skateboarding.
Anarchy has several characters from Mad World returning, such as the Black Baron and Matilda, now in Technicolor, but too many story contradictions and gameplay changes prevent this from being a real sequel. It was never advertised as such, but the returning cast confused people. It's about as much of a sequel as Mario Sports Mix is to NBA Streets V3, because they both feature Luigi playing basketball.
Check the bird on that one. That was some serious hang time.
That was a real game. Platinum followed up Mad World, a monochrome points-based arena brawler with what looks like a more conventional colorized multiplayer brawler. And worst of all is the announcers are gone. Announcers with some very recognizable voices.
I still don't understand why a city has giant saw blades all over the place.
Are you a city engineer?
Well, I'm not a city
Well, then shut the fuck up. They don't come up here and tell you how to be a commentator.
There's a big section of Mad World fans who despise this game, including me when I first played it. While it's not the same, some of Mad World's DNA is still in here. The tire and signpost combo can be done to dizzy the opponents. Insane stage hazards plague the map, and of course the best part of the game is the original music tracks. This mix of rap, industrial metal music just fits the brutal attitude. Many of the artists from that game were brought back for Anarchy, this time with a more energetic techno score. I at first didn't care for these songs because I was expecting it to sound like Mad World, but after accepting this as its own thing, these songs are some of the most played in my iTunes library. Don't judge me. If you don't want to play this game, at least listen to the music. Anyway, let's talk fighting mechanics. I'm no expert, but it seems basic. You have normal and heavy attacks with a meter to activate your killer weapon. I find the ability of locking onto a character and timing the dodge rules very euphoric. Also satisfying is if two opponents happen to attack at the same time. They deflect off each other. The more hits you give or receive charge up a meter, allowing for the use of your killer weapon. Charge up even more energy to enter Rampage mode. Now invincible, you can spam punch anyone in your way. It's not always an insta-kill, but it does a ton of damage. Should two rampaging characters meet, they go into a standoff.
You hit like a pansy.
This whole game is very Fist of the North Star. Seems overpowered, but with 16 characters, it's good to know I'm not the only target. I'm fine with this mechanic, but maybe they could refine it by letting Rampage characters take damage, so I don't know. No. Why? One blatant issue is when someone triggers a special move on another character, a cutscene plays that is seen by the two characters involved. Should a third character interfere, nothing happens. You might waste weapon energy attacking someone only to see they're in the middle of a special. Perhaps they can fix this by surrounding those characters with a swooshy anime effect to show not to go near them. I am bummed about how every character roughly plays the same, but I notice a bit of nuance to each killer weapon's attack radius and speed. Overall, it's easy to understand and you can practice against bots in training mode, but let's go against real people in local play. Oh, there's no local multiplayer in this party fighter. Awesome. Well, I guess we'll go online then. There was no one online, despite it being the main selling point. So, where did the audience go? Was there ever an audience to begin with? Kind of. Let's get into some history. Anarchy was developed by Platinum, known for Bayonetta, Mad World, Metal Gear Revengeance, and Nier Hakuna Matata, but it was published by Sega. Publishers don't make games, they just put them in stores and advertise them. Sega, for some reason, delayed the game's launch 2 times before it was released in Japan on July 2012, when there wasn't much competition. Outside of Japan, this already completed game with English audio got delayed a 3rd time. Platinum mentioned Sega was simply looking for the best time to publish Anarchy Reigns in Europe and America. Sega chose 6 months later in January, the month everyone is burnt out on spending money during the holidays. This was also 1 month before the debut of Platinum's far more anticipated and weirdly worded title, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Obviously, that became a classic among meme lords, while Anarchy has been forgotten. It would have been the final game Sega would publish from Platinum, as Platinum would find other, I'm sure, more trustworthy publishers, like Konami, Activision, and Microsoft. Oh. So why the delay? Maybe Sega had no faith in it and just wanted to write it off as a failure in their taxes. What if Sega thought Platinum's gonna be getting some attention around that time, so if they release Anarchy just before at a $30 budget price, it'll gain some overflow attention maybe? Whatever the reason, Anarchy became a commercial failure in all territories. Sega did to Anarchy what Sega did to the Saturn. Too soon? I've also heard speculation that the delay was to fix up the online. Reviewers of the early Japanese import copies said it was a glitchy mess. For more info, I consulted a fan Discord of Anarchy Reigns and YouTuber Video Show, who helped a lot with my research and can confirm, no, they did not fix anything. He describes the mechanics to be broken, like Smash Bros. Melee, but a lot less depth and more infinite. Most characters can exploit endless energy meters or take out 80% of a player's health in one combo. If you thought Bayonetta and Smash 4 was broken, you ain't played her here. Video Show claims one of the worst parts about the online were the tires and poles. You throw them to disorientate opponents, you can't block them, and they never vanish when dropped. So during team battles, teams would stockpile these and camp it out. Again, none of these issues were ever patched. During the 1-year anniversary of this game's release, developers for Platinum played online with the fans. Sounds like a fun time. These fans were so unhappy with the game's lack of patches that they destroyed destroy those employees using exploits. It got to the point where those developers were referencing the manual to their own game.
What a fowler!
This was Platinum's first attempt at a mainly online game and it flopped. It's just not viable to put in the man-hours for a patch to appease a small community that held on. But I feel if there was ever a sequel, or at least a modified re-release, I know they could do better. There's so much potential. Just look at all these cool characters that could inspire mountains of fan-drawn pornography.
We don't get ridiculed. We get rid of fools. Yo, 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 here we go. Yo, 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 here we go. Time for some action. Can't get no satisfaction until my steel toe crashes. Head on collision, what's happening? This swinging, face smashing, no need for the caption. And you bet not interrupt when the titles are clashing. I'm the big bull!
You got the big bull who transforms into another bull. In the concept art, his brain was in his crotch while he has a detachable bull head. You heard me. Then there's this girl. She's pretty cute for someone whose outfit is 90% croc. But my go-to pick is Matilda, no relation, the half-robot assistant to the Blacker Baron, armed with a collapsible whip/mace. Also, she's purple. Though according to this tier list I made based off info I found on a message board, she's one of the worst characters. I disagree. To me, the worst character is Oinky, who repeats the word bacon while running. Wow, I can't believe they released a whole epic mealtime video in dialogue form. Now, I know what you're thinking about. Besides your own paranoid worries for things that likely won't happen, you're thinking these characters look a little similar to Overwatch, a far more popular game that released years later. Look, if you make a character based on a pig, he's gonna be fat. And if there's a mad scientist, they'd probably have white hair, maybe a robot limb, even though I don't think these characters are mad scientists, but you know, don't think about, okay? Robot ninja, that's a lot. There's lots of robot ninjas, okay? Shush, 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 shush.
Look at all these lawless people. Anarchy reigns. The state we live in ain't the way we envisioned. When we were babies, there were so many ways we were left wishing. But now the world has been ruled over these eyes that they glisten. And now that glimmer of hope won't even shine in a prism.
Story mode. Here you can follow either Jack or Leo on the hunt for a delusional killer. Each side has you doing much of the same things, but you still gotta do both. The campaign has you exploring the Battle Royale maps, now turned into a hub world. You walk around fighting goons and accepting missions by pressing the select button. Hang on, by pressing the select button while standing perfectly still, or it takes you to a different menu. Of course, most of the missions involve fighting other playable characters and generic thugs. The bigger ones, like mutants, put up a fight and have telegraphed patterns of attacks. They're very distinct. My favorite are these drone troopers. Hit them enough times and they trigger a self-destruct. That's when you toss them into the nearest crowd. It's frickin' nuts. There's also more creative missions, like riding helicopters to shoot missiles, racing a cart in a circle with no other racers, or you gotta push a glass orb into a goal. It's pretty half-baked. Though on Jack's side of the story, we explore his sensitive side. Just another day in the park with my daughter and chainsaw arm. I only have one pair of clothes and I'm wearing them. The hub maps are also very limited. Just fight thugs and search for hidden concept art. I get the feeling maybe they wanted to add shops or NPCs to talk to, or at least some backstory to these weird locations. Like, what's this diamond structure thing? As is, the campaign is alright in smaller doses. It only takes about 5 hours to finish both sides of the story and unlock the main 16 fighters, but there's 2 more after. To unlock Gargoyle, who's just a clone of another character, you'll have to play the story again at a different difficulty level and start from a different side. No. To unlock Bayonetta, she's a $1 DLC bonus. I'm glad she's here in the best party fighting game ever, but I get the feeling maybe they wanted to add more crossover. The word nanomachines are mentioned, so maybe Raiden was considered before licensing issues got in the way. In addition to the downloadable DLC content, you can pay for a character pack that allows you to unlock 2 characters already in the game, Big Bull and Zero the Ninja. You normally unlock the Bull by fighting him in the first level of Jack's campaign. Why not allow me to unlock all the characters, or at least Gargoyle? I don't want to play the story mode again. You want to talk useless? In Japan, they get the Golden Chainsaw DLC. It's exactly what it sounds like. But here's the final DLC pack. 2 new modes, the first being Mad Survival. A team-based horde mode that's fun, but there's already a horde mode. The difference being one is against generic goons and the DLC is against the playable roster. But the second mode included is Dogfight, among the stupidest multiplayer modes I've ever played. You got 6 players flying on helicopters that auto-fire pellets at all times. Your only other ability is to dash and fire missiles. The most glaring flaw is the missile button is a face button, which if you want to aim, dash, and fire missiles at the same time, you know, like a modern shooter, you gotta hold the controller like this. Have they never played a modern shooter before? You got 4 shoulder buttons, use them. This is the most gimmicky, mindless mode in the game. Even the helicopters can activate rampage mode.
Your team is losing. Say hello to my little friend.
Imagine time warping back to the 70s and showing people what the future of video games would look like. That's assuming their minds can process these graphics. Characters look cool and the special moves have style, but there is just so much particle effects. When you slow the footage down, you truly see all the screen tearing and motion blur. With some of the official screenshots, I can barely tell what I'm looking at. It's so cluttered and full of roided out men like a 90s Rob Liefeld cover.
Yo, I'm something like a light, higher than tiger. Heart of a lion, spit venomous like spiders, heavy to mic. Prior to these wannabes, alliance, sit around for Messiah, lay the gas, I'm the fire. It's kill or be killed in the streets that I scout. It sees me the weed in the mouth, and put my knee in your mouth. Hit a punk like I was the predator, ahead of ya, ahead of my.
The DLC is pretty weak, but the game itself is fun. Check out all these modes, the selling point being deathmatch, but I enjoy Cage Match, a humble one-on-one duel, if you want something more easygoing. I appreciate them displaying the stats before each fight. Look at the age of these newly built robots. We are witnessing 2 toddlers going at it. Then there's Deathmatch Mode, a 4-player free-for-all. The small stage kinda reminds me of Smash Brothers, although the characters can't jump all that well. They need these fans to boost them up to a higher level. I wonder how well this game would do had there been some Smash-style jumping physics in 3D space. I'd imagine the camera would be an issue, and yes, I'm aware Power Stone exists with a more platform focus, but that has a locked-on overhead camera. I prefer the over-the-shoulder camera Anarchy provides. It helps me identify with the characters, like, yes, I too understand the struggle and thoroughly enjoyed Shamik Moore's performance in Dope.
Damn! I'm way too black for all this shit.
These are all fun modes, but allow me to introduce what should be the pinnacle of esports, Death Ball.
Breaks a couple of tackles, and look at him go! He could go!
Go.
In Mexico, they call it Death Ball Americano. This mode has all the same fighting mechanics, except you're chasing a ball around. Some of the characters are noticeably faster than others, but they balance that by having the goals closed off until someone holds the ball for a certain amount of time. And yes, you can use missile launchers. This game deserves so much more.
Here I come!
Currently, I'm in a real Goldilocks situation where I'll try other similar games as listed here, but none of them can match up to the chaos of 16 players going ham. In addition, many of those have the fighters zooming around the map at high speeds. It makes me see Anarchy as a more grounded fighter, where I feel in better control of. I just want more of that. Often I have fantasies of someday I'll get Platinum to make a game like this with my characters, and it'll have alternate costumes, and really cool downloadable wallpaper, and a player base that won't abandon me. Maybe someday. But realistically, what they should do is use this gameplay on a licensed property. What movie, game, or show do you think should have a party game like this? I say Teen Titans. They ain't doing nothing with video games. And imagine this roster on a good game.
Somebody has made a video game starring us? How joyous!
Yeah. Anarchy isn't perfect, and Platinum has made far better games, but to me, it's a flawed classic with great potential. Critically, it got some good, not great reviews, with Common Sense Media's critique stating, "Anarchy Reigns wasn't created with educational intent, and we don't recommend it for learning." I can't argue with that. Then again, maybe this wouldn't be the same had it been released today. Imagine the loot boxes, login bonuses, and worst of all, crafting. Ugh. Platinum has mastered single-player experiences, but Anarchy showed they just aren't ready for multiplayer quite yet. But hey, it's still the best online party fighter Sega published.
Maybe I went too easy on them.
I'm in the mood for a knockdown dragout. And what do we got here? Oh yeah, Air Guys. New fighting game from the makers of Final Fantasy VII. It's a fully three-dimensional fighter with open environments, 14 fighters, 6 of them from Final Fantasy. If you ever wanted Cloud vs. Sephiroth rematch, it's right here. There's also some mini-games, hidden characters, and an RPG mode. It all ends up pretty nicely. Toonami gives Air Guys for the PlayStation 4 out of 5. Stand up and fight like a man.